Yo, Jeremy here in the BleepinJeep garage. I'm with Charles with the Spruce Goose. We're going to do a walk around today of his Jeep. Don't forget to like and subscribe BleepinJeep. We're all about how-to videos and off-road related content. So Charles, tell me today about your Jeep.
This is a 93 two-door sport. Started life a very putrid green color, two-wheel drive. I've done a lot of stuff over the last 5 years. I bought it 5 years ago Christmas pretty much. It's had multiple axles up underneath it. I've got Wagoneer Dana 44s underneath it right now. 488 gears, chromoly shafts, ARB in the back, Detroit in the front with a Yukon hardcore locking hubs. Suspension work, subframe stiffeners, motor work, transmission, you name it, it's pretty much been done to it. I really haven't touched anything behind the dash, but that's about it. Cage, new parts and pieces all the time.
So you started off by buying a two-wheel drive Cherokee and converted it to four-wheel drive, which has been done before, but that's really cool. You were telling me about that. So I really enjoy that, the fact that you bought this with the intentions of going four-wheel drive, right? And then it's grown into this awesome Jeep. So that's super cool. So what's your favorite part of this Jeep? What is your, the proudest thing you've got on it?
It's got to be the axles. A lot of people don't catch it. The Wagoneer 44s from, I think it's 85 to 87, are about the same track width as stock XJ axles. So a lot of people don't catch it when they're looking at it. It doesn't look like it's built heavily or modified heavily because it's not on tons that are full width until they start looking at it and they go, that's got manual locking hubs. And then they start looking at it going, that's 6-lug. And then they start looking at the axles going, okay, it's got steering and trusses and everything like that. I think that's the biggest thing that catches a lot of attention.
So what is the WMS? It's like 61 inches on Waggy, right?
Roughly, yeah.
So
I think there's,
inch.
between the XJ and the Wagoneer, I think there's a 1 or 2 inch difference. So it's really not noticeable once you get in the custom world with offset wheels, bigger tires. It's not something that's going to pop out and say, hey, that's wider than usual.
Other than putting a truss on the wagging axle, was there anything else that was super difficult in putting the axle in?
Cold spring buckets. The Wagoneer axles are spring under, so the leaf spring mounts to the bottom of the axles. So converting the front to cold springs and control arms was a bit tricky. Had a lot of help with that. These were my first axles I really got into and started learning about parts and pieces and what goes into building and gearing an axle. I used a lot of donor parts from the stock axle, like the cold buckets and perches and stuff like that.
So you say pretty good?
Yeah.
Makes sense. Well, I like it. It's long arm front, leaf spring rear, typical Cherokee there. You got a lot of customization to it, little stuff like lights, your steering wheel, different things like that, so we'll go over there. So what's your second favorite feature after the axles?
It's got to be the cage, the ExoFab cage. It's a fantastic starter kit. It's all 120 wall DOM pipe, and you can modify it and tweak it and build it as you want. You can set it up differently. It all depends. And the same kit works for 2-door or 4-door. Really?
That works. I like the cage. I like the way it ties in right at the fenders here. It goes in, and you said you did some custom work on the inside that we can't see, correct?
Behind the fenders, I did the Hoonigan off-road door hinge supports, which ties the unibody back into the thicker door hinges that are known to sag over time when it comes to the Cherokees. Once that was in place, I actually notched a section out of where the A-pillar bars would go into the chassis and welded down the sides to help support the A-pillars.
I like that, because that was my biggest thing, was how does that tie into the frameless Cherokee. So when I see your Jeep, obviously you've got your Spruce Goose, which is pretty large and loud with the orange. So we know the name of the Jeep pretty easily. Yeah. But one of the coolest features of this Jeep is your rock skidders. Like, you have custom Spruce Goose in there, and there's some numbers here. What do the numbers mean?
The numbers are the actual tail numbers of the plane. For those that don't know, Spruce Goose was a plane built back in the 40s during World War II. It was a wooden plane that could take off and land from water and haul a lot of weight, mainly to transport troops and gear and equipment overseas during World War II. And the joke name that called on, the funny name, was Spruce Goose, basically because it was wood and it could take off and land from water. The numbers NX37602 are the actual tail numbers, the identification numbers on the tail end of the plane.
So why is your Jeep named the Spruce Goose?
When I first built it, It wasn't reliable. It wasn't that well built, I guess you could say. It made noise, it rattled and shook and shimmy, and if you're a bit of a history buff, you know a lot about World War II, but the audio recordings of everybody inside when it did its maiden voyage, everybody thought it was going to rattle and fall apart. And this thing rattled and shook and shimmied like it was going to fall apart. And that's kind of where the name got gone through and picked from, and it just stuck. And that's where I get my nickname from, is Goose. If you're off-roading a trail a lot, you don't know somebody that's wheeling with you. If their Jeep has a name, that's usually what you call them by, trying to get somebody's attention. And naturally, over time, Spruce Goose got shortened to Goose, and now I'm Goose. Yep.
Well, it's funny how the history of everybody's Jeep is. Most people's Jeep has a history. Yours is about 5 years long with this one. So, and that's like the heritage. That's the coolest part about it, you know. And you got so much heart and soul into this thing. And then your name, like you're talking about, how it goes along, and that's just really neat. I appreciate that. And like some people know the name of my Jeep, Matt's got names of his Jeep, and it's neat how that works. It's neat how it all comes together like that. I like that part of it. That's my favorite feature right there, is those right there. I think it's cool for you to think that up and do that and actually execute it. I think it's the coolest part, because we always come up with crazy ideas and stuff like, oh, that'd be neat, but you execute it. So good job on that.
I didn't always work at a four-wheel drive shop. I had buddies that had more time and equipment and knowledge than I did. So the thought process went into a layout and a drawing, and then machine shops and fabrication shops build the plate, and then that's where your thought comes to mind. But it's one of my favorite little catches. A lot of people don't see it unless they're looking for it.
I like it. Tell us about the unique features in your interior. You have a few of them in here.
I've got a quick release steering wheel that I can get in and out of fairly easily when I modify the cage. I've extended the shifter probably 12, 14 inches or so I can sit back comfortably in the seat. I don't have to reach for a gear or anything. There's a hand throttle on the shifter, so if I'm crawling up an incline or going up a hill or something, I can adjust the RPMs and it'll actually lock in place at an RPM.
Is that off a bicycle, or is that something you ordered?
That's an actual kit. I believe it's by Smitty Built. It's for a TJ, but obviously TJs and XJs are very similar, so it works very good.
Gotcha. How easy is it to take your steering wheel on and off?
It's real easy. It pops right on. If this collar is out, you push it on, turn it, till it locks, and in place you go. And to take it off, pull it, pops right off.
I think it sounds serious.
It's solid, it's heavy, it's got some weight to it. It's very comfortable, especially with this being a two-door. My seats are a little bit further back than a four-door would be. It's very comfortable driving down the road.
I got you. So what's all this up here? You've got your orange visors. Is there a reason for that?
No, the cloth visors were falling apart, and I just happened to have a roll of orange duct tape and got bored and wrapped them up.
How many switches do you have up there?
I've got 7 switches. They all do something except for this one as of right now. I've got a few different options. My headlights, like you saw in the video, are on a toggle switch. One of the reasons for that is if I'm winching at night, I can kill everything electrical that may be drawing power and run only the switch. I have a few other things. I've got strobes for roadside and safety. I've got pods that are around the vehicle. I've got another electric fan and a few other lights and other electronics.
So you just turned your electric fan on. What was that off of? That thing sounds like a beast.
It's just a store-bought shelf from AutoZone, a 10-inch fan, and it pushes a lot of CFM. It helps a lot on trail and sitting on the side of the road if your motor's running in the summertime.
We need to get a part number for that thing. It sounds like a dang jet engine out there. So that's something that a lot of people are after, is a really good electric fan, for sure. So you run CB and UHF?
I do.
Is that right?
I've got the CB mounted up high here. I used to have it down on the side of the center console, which is very common in the Cherokees, but with the high water mark being about to the belt buckle in this Jeep, I flooded the CB out more than once. Handheld radios, we have the Rugged Ridge types and the Baofeng types for different channels and different communication options.
Gotcha. So this isn't just a mall crawler like it looks?
No, this is built to go everywhere, especially the axles, the lift, the wheels, and tires, but the whole mindset was to build this to be a capable daily driver. I can get in this, I can start it up, I can drive from here to the West Coast and back without any hesitation at all. Completely reliable, 100% can drive anywhere.
I like it. It's a nice Jeep.
So let's talk about the back of your Jeep. We notice we have a pintle hook, you have a drop down spare tire carrier, and definitely some lights. So how many different lights you got back here? I see, what, 6 or 8 lights right off the bat?
Well, I've got the aftermarket taillight buckets from Rusty's Off-Road with LED replacements. The bumpers, the pods in the bumper are my reverse lights, so every time I hit reverse they shine, and they're at an angle, so give me some width. The one you see that are mounted to the back hatch, those are LED strobes for roadside and emergency. We volunteer a lot back home down in Georgia when the storms are bad to go around and help and see if anybody could use assistance in some way. So being safe on the side of the road is obviously a priority. So running strobes keeps everybody's attention and keeps us safe if we're trying to help someone.
So you say back home, so where are you from?
I'm from North Georgia.
North Georgia?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
The lights on the carrier right here are wired into one of the switches that are between the visors. Those illuminate light out to the side behind me, so if I have to back up at an angle, I can see if there's anything at the corner at night.
Gotcha. Well, I like it. I'm kind of jealous of the lights in a sense because I don't have very many lights on my Jeep for nighttime, so I'm just guessing, and that's probably why there's so many dents in my Jeep.
Yeah.
I back into stuff, so.
The tire carrier is a custom design. I have landed on a regular swing out carrier a few times and had popped the spare tire off the bead. So to protect the spare tire and protect the back hatch, it being fiberglass, being an older body style, came up with this. It folds straight down, so like some tire carriers, you swing it one way or the other way, the vehicle tends to lean side to side. So if you're off camber or on a hill a little bit or not on level ground, it can make it kind of awkward and sketchy. This folding straight back, the Jeep still stays level, and all you're doing is folding the weight down to the ground.
Gotcha. I like it. I think it's neat. You built all that yourself, right?
I had
It's
some
all
help.
custom?
I had some helps with a buddy that had a pipe bender, and we laid this out and tweaked it.
I gotcha. So the only things we haven't covered are the body armor and the stuff on the roof. Tell us about that.
The rear body armor is two-door specific from DB Metalworks. They're out of Arizona. Real solid steel. I've laid this over many times. Stuff on the roof, I've got a hijack, I've got an axe and a crowbar. Some recovery equipment's going to go up there eventually. It's pretty simple when it comes to the mounts, but it's easy accessible.
Okay guys, let me know what you think of Charles's XJ. Do you like a two-door? Are you a two-door fan or a four-door fan? You like an interior cage or an exo cage? Let me know what you think. Make sure you follow Charles on Instagram at Spruce Goose XJ, and it's underscore, how's it go?
Spruce_Goose_XJ.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let us know in the comments if this Jeep's Bleepin' Jeep approved.